How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs beat writer on SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys once again so much for stopping in as we continue on talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and their OTAs. This is an exciting time to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs, so to say. A lot of players are showing up to OTAs while they don't have to. It shows great encouragement to their fans as well as their other teammates, even if they're veterans, that they're showing up to participate and put in the work way early right now, given that the season is still eons away, or so it feels like. We're less than 100 days. So, all you football holics out there, we've got a little bit more time to cover before we get to some Chiefs football. But that being said, there are some intriguing storylines that have popped up through the OTAs and the offseason that are for sure you got to keep your head on. And we've got a little bit of more intel on them today from their press conferences or Thursday's press conferences. So let's start off with the first and obvious one. Josh Simmons, what's his role going to be? Is he going to be the starting left tackle? Is his knee going to hold up before he can even, make the team? Is he plan B? Is Jalen Moore plan A? Jalen Moore, the veteran that they brought in during free agency, the Chiefs did. We've got some encouraging signs, though, for Josh Simmons becoming the starting left tackle for the Chiefs. And if not this season, he is the plan down the line. Here are some things that were said today at training camp or OTAs. Believe it or not, he wasn't even there on Thursday because he fell underneath the weather that Andy Reid told us. That's a promising sign, because I'm sure that whenever people saw that he wasn't in attendance, you're like, oh no, he's not there. Something underlying had to have been happening. And thankfully and unthankfully, thankfully he's not like boycotting it, but unthankfully that he's sick or dealing with a bug going around. But encouraging signs, though, from Andy Reid is that he's very pleased with the performances that he's been able to come forth to. And even Patrick Mahomes has chimed off on the importance of Josh Simmons, claiming that he's built like a left tackle. When you hear that from a quarterback of the status of Patrick Mahomes, you know that he's got some weight in the discussion process of who is going to be the left starting tackle, dependent on how he moves well within the under center, as well as who's a good blocker. While it's ultimately going to come down to, the head coaches and their decisions on who starts at left tackle, Patrick Mahomes saying that Josh Simmons is built like a left tackle is very reassuring for the future, right? While that this first few weeks of training of OTAs, I apologize, I keep saying that, of OTAs are unlikely to disclose who and who isn't going to make the roster, Simmons is going to be the left tackle of the future. We know that. Pinpoint, that's the answer. They wouldn't have drafted him in the draft if they didn't see the end goal, right? His big presence, he's got that build, like Patrick Mahomes has said, and it's already established. It's starting to establish a connection with those guys. Mahomes also said that Simmons is very dedicated to getting his way back onto the field. He passes over training, the trainer's room, and Simmons is always in there putting in the work. I don't want to or count out Jalen Moore, though. Like, I am a fan of how Jalen Moore plays the game of football. I just know that with a first round pick being Josh Simmons, and know that how he is viewed, if it wasn't for the left knee injury, which is highly, by the way, then they wouldn't have thrusted him into this position, right? I think that the long-term plan is Josh Simmons, and the current plan going right now is day by day until the recovery process continues along. Speaking of recovery process, that brings us to our second storyline to watch all offseason long, and that's going to be Rashee Rice's health. Rice has been one of the more consistent stars that has blossomed, I suppose, and we've only had a small sample size. I say consistent, meaning that in the 4 games that he played before injury last season, he was on pace to have a tremendous year, right? So it's encouraging. Funny enough, though, Rashee Rice was also not present at Thursday's OTAs due to the same bug that Andy Reid disclosed. So positive signs for both Simmons and Rice that they are able to continuously show up to these OTAs, but they've been told to go away just because of illness, and you don't want to spread that, especially within the community in the facility. But Rashee Rice has also had or has been giving such high praise by Patrick Mahomes since Mahomes has talked about it since the end of the season. Earlier in the offseason, Mahomes was asked about Rashee Rice, and he said he's able to run routes well. I'm sure you guys remember that. He's able to run routes well. He's able to, track the football. He doesn't really have quote unquote ring rust, That's super promising. And now Patrick Mahomes is saying that Rashee is still Rashee. He said that in his press conference following OTAs on Thursday. Rashee Rice is still a long-term prominent figure in this Chiefs offensive game plan. I know that there's been talk around the media saying that Jalen Royals is going to replace Rashee Rice. And perhaps one day, there's 2 years removed from each other in terms of contracts. They're still all relatively young. I think that Kansas City has a very strong wide receiving core that will be able to build that if they are able to keep all 3 players alongside one another, right? So it's encouraging, yes, to say that Jalen Royals will be a player similar to Rashee Rice, but we still have to see it on the field. Knowing that we know how Rashee Rice is and how he can play versus how he is projected to play, it's super encouraging to hear that Patrick Mahomes believes that he is still, the guy to go to. He's still Rashee Rice. He's going to be able to make explosive plays. These guys are fast. That's another thing that they were talking about. The speed, the quickness, whether it be breaking away from defenders or even just yards after the catch. These guys can make plays happen for Kansas City. And that's another storyline to watch is if Rashee Rice and how his health continues to progress through the OTAs and getting closer to the start of the season. While we don't know the exact timeline of his return, whether it's due to injury or off-field issues, there are hopes that Rashee Rice is going to be able to make it back, at least from what I'm collecting from the statements that are being said from Mahomes and Andy Reid. That being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. As you can see on the ticker down below, you can follow me on X at Dom Mincello, or if you're listening, it is spelled DOMMINCHELLA. I post and repost every single day. Would love to start up some conversations with you guys over there. You can also follow at KC Chiefs on SI over on X. All of our stories get posted, all of our content. You don't want to miss it as we continuously cover the 2025 offseason until we get to the 2024 offseason, until we get to the 2025 season. Can't wait to continuously do this with you guys. You guys know the deal. I'll see you tomorrow. Be kind to one another. So long.